Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show. John Henry Soto here with you as always. I appreciate you all being here. It is 10 p.m. Central here in Nashville, Tennessee. It is April 29th, 2026. And today we're going to be covering a conversation that actually I've spoken about many, many times, but I'm telling you, it's something that we have to continue to discuss. And it's this whole thing with AI and the war with copyright and IPs and everything that's going on in that world. And we're going to cover that today extensively. So thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all. Hope you're all doing well out there. It is Wednesday. We are halfway through the week here and getting ready to talk about some real things that are, as a filmmaker, a musician, just a creative individual that loves also working with artists and loves working with people. It's become a tremendous challenge to try to get others to understand the power of AI and what's coming. And if you don't educate yourself, this is where it gets really, really dangerous. The conversation around who owns your art that's even a frightening thing to even say, right? Somebody owns your art, but that conversation is goes far beyond just a title show. It's about the real issues shaping the future of creativity right now. Artists today aren't just creating, they're navigating a landscape where ownership and consistent and constantly being challenged. They're constantly being challenged. With digital platforms, rapid sharing, AI tools entering the mix, the line between inspiration, replication, and outright use has become increasingly blurred. That's what we're going to talk about now. As an artist, if you're an artist and you're out there making music, man, grab a pencil, grab a piece of paper, and start writing and start making music and start telling your story. Storytelling is something that AI cannot do very well right now. Now it's drawing from every story that it can that's on the internet. That's a problem. This is what we're going to cover a little bit today, right? It's who owns all that material. Does the computer own it? Own everything that's in there? Well, apparently, this is where some of the legal issues have come in. If you are a writer, if you are a creator of content, this is the time. It has never been a greater time to tell your story, to write a story, to get out there and not only be able to film your story, but just have your story ready to present. Have that content ready because it's never been a better time. And I'm telling you, if you fall asleep on this, AI and all these other companies that are coming up, they're gonna bulldoze dozer over everybody. It's sort of like, I don't know if anybody remembers the .com years, which was early 2000. Well, in one year, the Super Bowl had 22 .com companies in it. This was early on. Everybody was .com. Everything was .com. That was in 2000. The following year, there were three, from 22 to three standing. Okay. And those were the majors. Those were like Google and Yahoo and one other one that I can't remember. Um, so this has been the same thing that's happening with AI. If you can tell right now, if you're talking about AI anywhere on your computer, you know that you're getting ads for everyone talking about the best AI, right? Whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's a Claude. I mean, there's a lot of other ones out there that provide AI specific tools, right? They're popping up everywhere. But one thing that's really getting left behind is the artist. Think about it for a second. I mean, there are music channels right now on Spotify that are 100% AI driven with millions of followers. Who is collecting that money? It's not an artist, it's some prompter, and are we considered now prompters artists? Is that where we've gotten to? I mean, are we there at that point in our lives? It's really, really scary. So I can probably see this whole genre, and I've said this before on past shows, where filmmaking is going to have a genre, or I should say, yeah, a genre of AI. It's going to have its own category, and that category is going to be AI films, and those films will have its own genres within it. AI horror, AI comedy, AI, drama, whatever. And that's what's gonna I'm kind of predicting that, but I think that seems like it's where it's gonna go. Because what happens today is a lot of people are actually now looking at these AI little videos online and just kind of rolling their eyes to a certain degree and being like, it's entertaining, but what okay, now what? You showed me Mr. Rogers fighting Jimi Hendrix in a MMA match. Well, okay, that was kind of entertaining for like a split second, but not really. It was sort of just a weird thing that happened. And it's really, really something that we need to look at and understand that AI is not going to be able to tell the stories, and this is where we're going to have to go to, and that's why I'm telling everyone, get your storytelling down. Start studying that and start getting those stories out there. You can shoot them anywhere, by the way. Copyright and intellectual property used to feel more defined, but the pace of technology has outgrown the systems meant to protect creators. This is what's happening. The system is so fast now. Things are happening so quickly that Spotify has all these fake AI stations making a lot of money for somebody, for some prompter sitting in his basement who's prompting out these songs, right? Um, I don't, I, don't- I don't know if they're any good. I've heard some of them. They were very, very clean, which it's not really rock and roll. I'm a rock and roll guy. I like the blues. I like things that are not so perfectly. It sounds a little bit more raw. There's nothing of that there. But right now, there's not a lot of protection for creators. So now you're competing with robots. And same thing's happening for film. Now, film's a little bit different, little bit different. The AI actors have not yet mastered subtleties, the nuances of a scene. They haven't been able to kind of hone that in. For whatever reason, I think it'll get better as it goes along. But as of right now, today, 2026, on this day of April 29th, it sucks. It just really, really is no good. It has a lot of issues. There's some things that it can do well, but the nuances it cannot do. I always reference the film Silence of the Lambs, where Jodie Foster was talking to Hannibal Lecter, and he was saying something. He's calling her out on a bunch of things, and her expression on her face went from anger to determination to fear to anger again and she did it all in her eyes. She didn't say a word. She won the Academy Award, of course, because that's how brilliant she is. um but that scene right there, AI cannot replicate that. It just can't. If you tell AI, okay, I want you to be upset, then I want you to kind of be happy, then I want you to be a little bit scared, well, AI is going to go ha 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 ha, oh, ah, that's what AI is going to do. It doesn't understand the nuances of it. It's stupid. That's kind of what the bottom line is, right? But the creators are not protected. For example, millions of images, songs, and written works have been used to train AI models, often without direct consent of the original creators. Some reports estimate that major AI systems have been trained on datasets containing billions, billions with a B, of pieces of content pulled from the internet. That means that they're taking these models and they're feeding it billions of pieces of content from the internet that humans created and put on the internet. How tragic is that? Right? People, they put their heart and soul into this. And here they are being completely obliviated and being perverted, being what other adjective I could think of, but just it's just a disgrace, you know, and that's what's happening, right now. So at the same time, platforms like YouTube process over 500 hours of uploaded video every minute, making enforcement of ownership incredibly difficult at scale. They probably can't figure it out. I feel that if the technology is that good to use all that technology or use all of that, that they probably can build a model that can actually respect who created the content and maybe even give them credit for it. I'm sure they can. They won't, because that takes a lot and they're not going to get any money. They're going to lose money. So the goal is always that, right? You have to always follow the money. It's very difficult to enforce this at the moment. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy when you think about it. AI adds another layer to the conflict because it doesn't just distribute content, it generates it. So it's being fed everything that's on the internet. Thank you so much for the likes over here. I appreciate it. Thank you. It's being fed all this technology. I mean, all this content, all these pieces of information. And now it's not only using it, but it's generating its own thing. So it may feel like it's original, but it has been taken from all that stuff that it's been fed, right? Because it doesn't necessarily, people say artificial intelligence. Well, it's not really intelligent, and it is artificial. It's actually uh, built by humans. So it's really human intelligence that the computers have taken and um, meshed together, and when you give it a prompt, it spits it out at you in what it thinks it's creative. See what I'm saying? It's sort of like raising a child and teaching them how to do stuff, and then when the child grows up and if you teach them well, the child does well, and you're like, well, good, I gave it the information so that child does well in life. If you're bad, the child will do poorly in life, right? That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Tools can now create music, scripts, artwork, and even voices that closely resemble real artists. A growing percentage of creators, some surveys suggest over 60% are concerned about their work being used to train these systems without compensation or credit. Meanwhile, companies argue that this process falls under fair use or transformative creation, setting up a legal and ethical gray area that's still being fought over in courts and public opinion. So, that gray area that we're talking about here is really where we have to kind of dive into and try to figure out how can we, how can the artist benefit from AI. Now, the main thing that you have to understand that AI can also be an incredible tool to get your material out into the world. AI can be your assistant. AI can build you models that can get your material out there. AI can help you manage your time. It could help you gather companies to send your material to. It can help you with so many things. The only thing I would say do not use it for is to make your art. Don't have it write your script or write your song or do your vocals or whatever. But there are certain things that you can use. So if you're a singer, you sing, and sometimes singers, we're not singers today and all the time, had sometimes their voices will go a little off. And of course, this didn't happen back in the days. I mean, Frank Sinatra would record a song with a full orchestra of like 100 piece, and he'll do like two takes, and they were perfect takes. So this was a different thing. I've heard Adele do the same thing. I've heard just great singers that can sing don't need any like what do you call that, those voice module things that I hate, auto tunes, right? um so, because they have the skill, they have the ability, they have that natural talent. But this idea that we need to use it to create the art is false. No, you don't need it for that. What I'm saying is if you go and you record something and you want to clean it up, there's AI tools. For film, for instance, if I have a scene and I want to match the scene to a certain color temperature or something, AI can pretty much match it all out for me the way I want it, and then I can go in and tweak what I want. It does it much faster. So are there going to be jobs that are going to go away because of AI? Absolutely. Absolutely, it's going to happen. It's unfortunate, but if we go back 100 years during the industrial age, well, there were a lot of people that were doing things with horses and wagons and moving things, and then suddenly here comes the industrial age, and then eventually the car, and then the car became the truck, and now you can move things around. So anyone that owned a farm of horses that were using them and selling them for people to pull their wagons was no longer needed. A lot of jobs were lost because of during that industrial age. Now we go, go back maybe 50 years after that. You had the internet come up, right? A lot of jobs were lost because the internet could do a lot of things much faster. We're talking about spreadsheets as well, right? When Microsoft Excel came out, well, all those little, big giant tablets that we had, and we have to handwrite everything. Well, Excel can do the whole thing. It can do the math. Excel is a whole monster in itself, right? People go to school just to study Excel, right? So a lot of people lost their jobs there. So we're always going to, with technology like this, we're always unfortunately going to run into a situation where people are going to lose their jobs. It's just unfortunate, but that's just what the reality of it. But what you need to do is get ahead of it. Learn the tool instead of just falling behind. Learn the tool, apply the tool to what you're doing, and then you'll be one of the few that not only will have the old school system, but you'll also be able to convert it to the new school. Imagine how someone back in the day who was just doing these ledgers, these huge ledgers for like the spreadsheets, right? Imagine someone that was able to take those and move them right into the new computer age, and that was their job. They can make a ton of money just going into into companies and saying, "Hey, I can do this for you guys. This is my fee." And they're gonna say, "Yeah, we don't got nobody here who can do it." So I'm sure a lot of people made a lot of money during that time. This is the time to get involved with AI. This is the time to start studying it. This is the time to start respecting what it can do for you and not be so afraid of it. I gave a lot of things here that were kind of like messed up, right? Like, but this is the nature of the game. If you want to continue being an artist, you're gonna have to do this. Now, you can also make excuses, right? This is what a lot of people do. Also, there's no point. I mean, AI is gonna do everything, and if you're gonna have that attitude, then yeah, you're gonna lose 100%. But if you say, you know what, this is scary. I don't know, I don't know about this, but I'm gonna learn some about this, and I'm gonna try to figure out how I can utilize this into my own career and into my own work. What this all leads to is a broader discussion about control, value, and recognition. This isn't just about laws catching up, it's about creators understanding what they're up against and how to adapt. This is what I'm saying. We have to adapt to this. The real question isn't only who owns your art, but how you protect it, how you leverage it, and how you stay relevant in a world where creation itself is being redefined. Humans are needed. People more and more right now, Gen Z is actually getting tired of their phones. They want to actually interact. They're doing it by the numbers. There's actually now bars and restaurants that have a no cell phone policy. You leave your phone in the front, they put it in a little bag. You don't touch it again until you leave the establishment. There are Netflix houses. Netflix is building these places called Netflix House. They have one in Texas, they have one in Philly, and there's one being built in Las Vegas. There are these huge, giant structures where inside you'll be able to actually do themed. It's like themed from the show, so you'll be able to do activities that are themed with one of their shows. So there'll be Stranger Things theme. There'll be a restaurant. There'll be little breakout rooms that you can go into and do stuff. And because they're betting on people wanting to have more personal engagement and personal connection with people. So that is coming. This is why I say that start building up your arsenal of writing, songwriting, as well as storytelling and original narratives. Now is the time to really jump in because the future is now. It is here. It's not going anywhere. As much as we complain and we hate it and people fight against it and they roll their eyes, doesn't matter. You have to just get on board and we have to learn this system. It's like when social media was out, almost 20 years ago now, and people were like, I don't want to get into social media. Well, now you realize if you're not on social media, unfortunately, you don't exist. As horrible as that is, I know some people will roll their eyes to that. I don't care. They don't exist. They're not even on here. And they're probably not even seeing this anyway. So they're probably rolling their eyes on in front of the water cooler and at their jobs, just talking about how they hate this. Well, they're losing out. You don't want to lose out. We need you. We need talented people like you. We need writers. We need musicians. We need great singers, great songwriters. Create groups, create communities. Like I'm doing that here in Nashville. I have some great communities here that I'm working with. Continue to create and continue to grow and continue to be of service to others. That's very important. All right, friends. I want to thank you for joining me this evening here for my little chat on the war with copyright, IP, and AI. I hope you enjoyed that. There's a lot more here. If you're interested in getting more involved, you can follow my channel. Go to johnhenrysoto.com. And you can also follow me on all social media platforms, which is John Henry Soto, pretty much at everything. And I look forward to chatting with you there. If you have any questions, I'd love to help you. Take care of yourself. Have a wonderful evening. I'll see you tomorrow. And as always, peace.